All the candidates could please return to your seats. We will be restarting momentarily. please return to your seats. We'll start in like a few seconds. 5. Okay, last call for all candidates to come back. We are going to be starting in probably 10 seconds. So if you see that your slate member's not back, text them to come back. Okay, everyone, we're going to resume. So the next person down the line is Shay. Are you ready? Okay, so next we're going to resume with the next person, which is Shay. So my question for you is concerning your platform to bring healthier options to the silo. Considering that the silo is primarily owned by Sodexo, how do you plan on working around that?
Okay, perfect.
All right, perfect. Thank you for this question. Our university is one that is huge on privatization, and this is something that's a huge issue in terms of big companies getting a lot of money. If you look at our UC Regents, most of them are billionaires. Where do you think a lot of that money comes from? It comes from the UC, and that's a huge problem. Do I think that having a problem with Sodexo is going to stop me from getting healthier food options in the silo? Do I think students' health is more important than a private company? Yes. Will I work towards it? Hell yes. If it doesn't go through, I'll stand outside of the table and make salads myself. Because at the end of the day, our students' voices are more important than these private companies taking all this money and giving it to our UC Regents. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go with Jack and then Drake.
Hi. Well, I appreciate what you said about that. I just didn't hear a whole bunch of concrete response for how, because I think the question was less about the morality of challenging the corporation that runs the silo and more how to work within them. So I'd be interested to hear if you have actually concrete plans about how to work with the bureaucracy of a corporation and less just about how they.
Perfect. So I don't know if you guys know who Craig Brady is. If any of you have done work in ASUCD, you should have met him. So this gives a little hint of qualifications you have and what you've done in the past. So he is in charge of all of the food on campus, especially with Sodexo and also with the CoHo. So Craig Brady works with Sodexo. He's also the head of the CoHo nutritionist team. So I've already been pushing this forward with him. We just need space. There's Carl's Jr. at Taco Bell, which Sodexo doesn't own, which means that CoHo can definitely move something into that space. It's just whether or not those conversations are going to start happening, which is something I can really do once elected, because right now I'm constrained with campaign and flyering. So basically and I don't know if you guys know who Roman Rubelis is. He was a former senator. He's also been a huge help with getting this, in terms of getting these relationships together. So we're all working to get the CoHo nutritionist team into the silo and getting those healthy spaces into the silo. So I hope that answered your question, and ask more because I'd love to clarify if you have more.
Okay, go ahead, Drake. No? Does anyone else have a response? Okay, awesome. We're going to move on to Ryan A. Okay, this is about your platform regarding alternate payments for TAPS tickets. What steps have you already taken to communicate with TAPS and the police department about this idea, and how will you convince them that this is a good idea considering the huge amount of funding TAP gets from tickets?
So, this has been a very interesting one to work on so far. The UC Davis Police Department was the first to respond, and I've been holding off on setting up my meeting with them. Chief Carmichael was very understanding about all of this, because TAPS just doesn't like to answer my emails, which is kind of unfortunate. So they were closed today, but I'm probably going to be in their office tomorrow morning after my midterm to kind of talk to them about getting in touch with their director and having more of sort of a sit-down meeting. When it comes to convincing them, I need to learn more about TAPS's financial structure first, because from what I understand, they are more of an independent entity when it comes to funding received. A lot of the money that they make is pretty much off of the tickets, off of the the parking permits, and then the bike resale when they impound people's bikes and then resell them. So I'm curious to see just how much they make and how they tend to budget themselves and whatever profit ends up being left over, because if it's something that they're just making an absurd amount of money that they're not reinvesting or that it's going anywhere, I don't see why they wouldn't be willing to give the students a little hand and stop charging us so much money and help bolster food security on this campus for students who don't always know where their next meal is going to come from.
Does anyone have a response? Okay, we're going to move on to Ricardo. Okay, so Ricardo, my question is about how your platforms are related to. So, given that UC Davis will become a Hispanic serving institution in 2018, but you'll term out in a year, how will you ensure that your platforms are successful long term?
Yeah, Hispanic serving institution, meaning that 25% of the undergraduate student body here at Davis will comprise of Chicanos, Latinos, Latinas, Chicanas. That means that it's not only going to affect my community, the community that I'm a part of, but it's also going to affect other communities on campus. I have 3 platforms. One of them is to improve the retention and recruitment of Chicanx, Latinx folks on campus. And this consists of talking to CDNO, he is the director, to make sure that we have a center for the Chicanx, Latinx community on campus, which is going to be opening this coming fall. Now, one aspect of it is to create this UC Davis Ambassador Program, where we would take students from UC Davis back to their community so that they could talk to senior high school students and make the transition from high school, sustain students here on campus, because it retains them, it grants them sort of awareness of the resources that we have on campus. The second thing is to create this 5-week program where we would be giving students, this would be in partnership with the Internship and Career Center, where we would have resume building, cover letter building, so that when students graduate after coming to Davis, you should be able to have a career and a job after graduating. So I want to make sure that students are prepared to enter the workforce or go into law school or graduate school.
Does anyone have a response? Okay, Claudia?
How will you help transfer students from the Latinx Chicanx community?
Yeah, so I actually know 2 people that have been helping me that are part of the transfer community, and I think they would also be included in this program that I would be creating in partnership with the Internship and Career Center, because you want to be inclusive and not only have traditional students, but non-traditional students as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay, does anyone else have a response? Okay, we're going to move on to Mayto. My question is about your platform to increase funding for arts on campus. The last time we talked to you, didn't know exactly where that funding would come from, so I'm going to ask you again, where is your funding for arts on campus coming from?
Well, what I want to do is increase opportunities for kids statistically and spread the love on campus of art and culture. And what I'm going to do to find funding is, I have a lot of positions as a student here, working with executives and working on something called the Global Food Initiative. And I work on the music of this film, and I used KBBS, I used their studio to work on the music of this film, and we produced a very good student project for the Global Food Initiative, which is a sustainability project that spreads advocacy of sustainability to people of this campus and to people outside this campus. And I want projects like this. I want to talk to people who have projects like this and who can bring more projects to campus. And I want to bring together people like the Film Society and people like KBS to work on these things.
Does anyone have a response? Okay, I have a follow-up question. What specific aspects of art on campus do you feel like need the most help?
What was that?
Which aspects of arts on campus do you feel need the most help?
Needs most help?
Yeah.
I want to make this campus more colorful. There's a mural out there on the MU that is called The Unfinished Dream, and it represents a lot of diverse cultures that are here on this campus. But obviously, people don't get very much meaning from that. We are very unconnected culturally, and I want to raise awareness of that, and I want to make this a colorful place. I want to spread the love.
Okay, go ahead, Jack.
It's less about a response to that, and it's more a response to the club and organization funding you talked about earlier. Am I allowed to respond to that still? Or?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So you said that you have a lot of ideas and you have a lot of experience working with the executives here at UC Davis, but I didn't hear a whole lot of concrete answers. So I was wondering if I'd just like to tell you that I do have concrete answers. I know that Alex Lee, the benefactor and presidential candidate, my good competitors on the Sun slate over here, recently pushed for Club Finance Reform. And it had a myriad of things, including, I think, funding for the CoHo and increasing maximum grant size. And that was recently repealed. I'd like to overturn that repeal if at all possible. I'd like to raise more awareness for clubs and other organizations to be able to get more grants. I'd like to give grassroots, provide grassroots resources for clubs, organizations, Greek Life and all sort of student organizations to raise money on their own. These are concrete ways that I can increase funding for student clubs, student organizations, Greek Life.
I agree, and I also think that arts groups should raise their own money and have opportunities to do that, and we need to create those opportunities by talking to people who can give them projects.
What are some concrete ways that you would do that?
Well, I have a connection.
I just want to say I offer concrete results, so if you can...
All right, Jack, this is a question for you. So you talked about Greek Life and funding. I sat on IFC's Vice President program. I'm part of the executive for all Greek Life over here for fraternities. What concrete ways do you plan to fundraise for IFC?
That goes to a number of ways. So I'm not Greek myself, but the most experience I have is having a good number of friends who are Greek and who are very much involved with Greek life. One of my friends, one of my housemates in fact, has talked to me and said that there is just a complete lack of ability for most Greeks that feel like to work with ASUCD and be able to get money from ASUCD because they feel like there's organizational bias against them, and I would like to work to repeal that, or to remove that. I would also like to, as I said, provide grassroots resources, just working with local businesses and providing fundraisers in order for Greek life to get the funding it deserves.
So we're a private organization. How do you go ahead and do that? You can't tie those fundings two together. That's already impossible. That's an administrative tackle that you have to go against. So what concrete plans do you have? I'm only listening to what you want to do, but as for now, those are, with your plans, it's not feasible.
I don't understand. What is unfeasible about my plans?
So right now, IFC is part of RSOs, but it's part of their own private organization. ASUCD is a public organization that's still under the students' fees initiatives in different ways, but it's a different mechanism of two organizations. You can't link the two, is what I'm saying.
I'm saying that the part of my platform is, again, grassroots funding and providing funding from local businesses and organizations such as those.
Okay, I'm going to do the last response to Savannah.
I'm good.
Okay, you're good.
Sam already addressed what I wanted to say.
Okay, cool. We're going to move on to Ryan Down. So this is about your platform to unite and transfer reentry and veteran students on campus. A few other candidates are running on a similar platform. What is different about your platform, and why are your ideas the best to serve this community?
What was that last part of the question?
Why are your ideas the best to serve this community?
The best. I don't know if I'd say the best, but they're definitely good. So a lot of students, I guess my plan is different and distinct because it's very specific. So a number of people on my slate at STEM Park here are doing things to help veterans, doing things that will help very specific groups. But what I want to do is I really want to have a lot more events where you can help transfer students and reentry students and veteran students meet more people in the community they otherwise wouldn't meet. Because I don't know who here in the room is a transfer veteran or reentry student, but when I got here as a transfer, I was very lonely. It was very hard for me to find friends beyond transfers, beyond my classes. And so I just want to find a way to give additional opportunities for students to be able to have that connection with different people on their campus. So like some specific ways I would do that is I would host events in the quad. I would have just very basic things. It could be bake-off. It could be any number of activities that are very cheap and easy to implement that are in a large public space.
All right, Savon.
So this is for, I suppose, everybody on this table, or most everybody on this table. We have a lot of platforms that people are running on that are, I think, outside of the scope of, either outside of the scope of ASUCD, or they're platforms that you can make better progress on, not on the Senate table, but in a certain facet of ASUCD. You sit on the Transfer, Reentry, and Veteran Committee, and I just want to know, like, what asset do you think being on the Senate table, how would being on the Senate table versus being on a committee that's specifically designated to tackle the issues that you want to run on will help you? Because as a current senator, I can say, when you go into Senate, you have these different projects and different communities that you want to work on. But if as a senator, the only thing you want to do is serve a community where a committee does exist, you don't necessarily need to be on Senate because you're going to be in 8-hour meetings talking about everything else.
First of all, Savon, that is an excellent question. I really appreciate it. It is true that technically speaking, if I wanted to, I could just stay on as a vice chair of the Transfer, Reentry, and Veteran Committee, and admittedly, I could get a lot done in that capacity. Savon is completely right about that. However, practically speaking, even though technically I can do many of the things I can do in Senate, there's a lot more access, and there's a lot more people that I can get direct relations with that I couldn't do in my current capacity as vice chair. I'm very limited by very specific committee meetings, by a lot of other ideas of people in the committee, and I feel that basically, essentially, do very similar things as a senator, but the scope of what I believe that I can accomplish would be greatly increased if I were a senator, to put it simply. And if you'd like me to specify further, I'm more than happy to.
Does anyone else have a response? Okay, we're going to move on to Sophia. Okay, so this question is about your 24-hour hotline. You talked about partnering with the Yolo County's mobile crisis team as an option for implementing this platform. Why would the Yolo County crisis team agree to create a new hotline specifically for UC Davis as opposed to just promoting one of their existing hotlines?
So I've actually been talking to Roman about this. He actually gave me the idea of reaching out to the Yolo Crisis Unit. They are part of UCDPD, so they are involved with UC Davis students, and so I think that this has been something that they've been thinking about doing recently, so they just need someone to really be the person to make it happen, and if I were to help them, it would be implemented quicker. Like I kind of said before, is that I really want to work with the Student Health and Wellness Center and the counseling services, because I'd like to see it come from the actual departments of UC Davis. They already have certain hotlines already. It'd be so much easier just to be able to call one number and have 3 different lines, to have the on-call nurse, the more emergency line that you would call, and then a line that is a little bit less, like non-emergency. So when you make a call, having those 3 lines would be a lot more convenient. And if that's not going to happen, that's why I'm reaching out to the Yolo Crisis Unit, because I think that they will make it happen regardless. If this is not going to happen already at Davis, and I just think that this is something that students could really benefit from. It's something that all students of all different races, all different backgrounds can really utilize, and I think that this will definitely help UC Davis students.
Does anyone have a response?
If it's already being led wouldn't you want to have your resources delegated somewhere else? As in, why necessarily want to basically have your name on the title of a project that's already going to be done when you could have the power to do something else within 7 days?
Well, it's not technically already done. I know they've had ideas about it, but it hasn't been implemented yet. So it's still like in the process. I know that it has been a discussion, at least from who I've been in contact with, but it's not something that has been done. So it's not just me putting my name on it. But
will there be additional funding for this network?
So are you referring to like the Yellow Crisis Unit or referring to like student health and counseling services? Okay, so for the student health and counseling services, I've been getting in touch. I've already talked to members of like SHOP, and they've really backed me. They think that this is something that could really happen, especially like a phone line, and maybe in the future having some sort of texting line that people could talk with. And so I'm still in the process of getting into contact with them. I think that this would definitely have to be something that happens through the student health and counseling services, and we do pay a fee. I don't know if you guys have looked into how much you do pay for, your mental health resources through your tuition. I know some of them are $60 plus. I've seen also numbers like $120. So you do pay a certain amount, and so that would be coming out of that money. And also, one of the big things about this non-urgent line is that it doesn't necessarily have to be a psychiatrist on the phone. It could be an on-call nurse who would also be answering certain phone calls to answer to. So this is something, because it's so versatile, it can definitely get done at a less expensive way. Did I answer your question?
Okay, we're going to move on to Sam Park. This is about your platform to partner Cal Aggie Alumni Association with Aggie Joplin. Given that there's a membership fee with Cal Aggie Alumni Association, how do you plan on providing resources on Aggie Joplin to students who are not members of the association?
So, thank you for that question. So, I'm still in the process of meeting with the ICC director, Kirk Collin, to find feasible ways how we can improve Aggie Joblin's website interface. Because if you guys haven't been to Aggie Joblin's before, it's kind of patchy, it's kind of a mess, it's hard to navigate around, and there's not a lot of resources there yet. So what I planned to do originally was to talk with Director Angle of CAA and find ways to have those resources to be provided in Aggie Joblin's. One thing that I also plan to do with the fees is to find ways for having waived for certain students with needs with that. I'm still in the talks with Director Angle, so it's something that's not concrete yet, but it's something that I'll keep everyone informed about it once I meet with those two directors.
Great. Is anyone else? Go ahead.
Interestingly enough, that's one of my platforms to redesign the Aggie Joplin website. My question is, how do you, to formulate a plan and actually redesign the website so that students can have access to opportunities and internships is going to take a year or two. So how do you plan on doing something in between that time? Because we're not going to do that, in a day or two.
So obviously it doesn't happen in a day or two. It's a long process with talks, with advocacy, and also lobbying. But having experience working with some of these individuals, I believe I can make concrete solutions to make that happen. As I agree that maybe you are also running on that platform, but I would also like to hear about what you've done with that issue.
Yes, cool. So I've been talking with the Internship and Career Center and trying to formulate a plan to have this website redesigned. And in the meantime, what I'm hoping in doing is having every department on campus have a tab that says internships and jobs so that students can have an easy access towards opportunities, leadership positions on campus or an organization elsewhere that is offering a position. So while I want to be able to formulate a plan to have this new redesigned Aggie Joplin website, I'm also going to be working to have students have easy access to opportunities on campus.
So pretty much sounds like we're tackling the same issue, and I do appreciate you tackling that with me, because this is something that students really need. I don't know if a lot of students realize last year we were ranked 39 in the U.S. national rankings by U.S. News. This year we are ranked 41, behind Santa Barbara and UC Irvine. Part of the things that happened, there's a lot of reasons why that happened, and I believe the Aggie issued some print on Jenna Napolitano, who's our UC president, have UC Davis as one of the flagship programs to have more students coming in to provide student opportunities for education. So there's a lot of reason why our ranking has gone down, but one of the main reasons, what I also believe, is that a lot of students who are graduating from our institution is not getting jobs after graduation. And part of the resource that we have is Aggie Job Links that provides that. So updating that interface, and I do appreciate Ricardo taking on this as well, but it's something that's imperative for our students to really get that professional job after we graduate.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to Christy. So Christy, my question is about your platform to convert ASC parking lots. Considering that there's already a senator in office working on that platform, how will your platform be different than hers, or why do you believe that there needs to be two senators working on that same platform?
So me and Senator Tiffany Lund, we talked about this before I made this my platform. Tiffany Lund was appointed; she wasn't elected. So this platform was not really publicized. Most people don't really know about it. So she thought it was actually a good idea for me to publicize this platform and let people know that this is going to be implemented. I'm actually working with her. We're not racing each other or going against each other. We're working with each other. We plan a meeting together to find a plan that we can present to TABS that we do have a scheduled meeting for.
Is there any response? Go ahead there.
So, have you given any thought at this point into doing an impact study to see how increasing the number of C spots would affect not only traffic but the environmental impact of this campus, considering that we're aiming to be carbon neutral by 2025?
That is a great point. I have not looked into that fact yet, and that's a really great thing that I would love to look into. I was mainly listening to concerns with the students. A lot of them came to me complaining about the horror stories that go on in the C parking lots, so that was kind of my main focus of why I made this platform.
Thank you. Great, we're going to move on to Johnson. So, Joshua, you talked about how your platforms are things that have been pursued in the past or things that are being currently pursued right now. Why did you decide to run on platforms that have already been attempted as opposed to trying to create new ideas?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I think Sivan highlighted a very important point right in the beginning of this debate, that when senators get elected, they have platforms that they're able to accomplish, and then they have platforms that they're not able to accomplish. And with the resources that I carry, for example, tailgating, which is a committee that's just in progress right now with Senator Miguel, thank you very much for starting that. When he turns out, I want to spearhead that. I think that is imperative that ASUCD establishes a genuine connection with the athletic department. If you look at it, the athletes, or even athletics in general, are the doorstep to a university. And that's something that we need to kindle the fire once more to have a working relationship between ASUCD and also the athletic department. That's number one. Number two, coffee in the library. That's something that we definitely want, we love, we care for, deal for. There's renovation plans in progress. There's definitely renovation plans in progress. However, they're not completed yet. So why not branch out the CoHo, just like the South CoHo has like an outside little, stand, and bring it into the library. So certain things are not accomplished, but bring them all together that have already been started, and then finally finish them. Because for too long, those three things that I have planned have been neglected.
Is that okay? So I'll go ahead.
Yeah, so going back to what Joshua said in the beginning, as a senator, you definitely do get projects that you want to start working on in your second or third quarter that you don't get a chance to finish in your first quarter. In terms of the tailgating committee and tailgating in general, so that was something that Miguel, Joe, Brent and I have started in ASUCD, and the tailgating committee per se is actually just 4 of us who go to tailgates. Isn't like an actual ASUCD committee, but it is the 4 of us who had numerous meetings with the athletics department, who met with reps from IFC yesterday or 2. I'm not sure. It's been a crazy week. That have met with different campus organizations and are slated to meet with other campus organizations. These are projects that we've been working on for a very, very long time. Part of the reason why I'm running for re-election. But I do want to clarify that like the tailgating committee isn't like a real ASUCD committee in the sense that the transfer veteran re-entry committee is a real committee.
Absolutely, but that's why we're running together, and hopefully Savon and I will both get elected, and we can work on that together. Diversity.
Okay, we're going to Brendan Chang. So this question is about your platform to create a syllabi portal. How will you police the portal for when professors change things like assignments and textbooks for classes and ensure that students aren't misinformed?
Is this on? It's on. Okay. Really close? Okay. So the portal is actually designed for all past syllabuses that were used in past classes that are currently stored in that involved. And I've been working with Academic Affairs Commission to get this going, and I've been trying to get the students' input, and that's what I've been focusing on. And so if professors decide to change something, it's not like it's a guarantee, because professors change syllabuses like within the first week, like it happens to me in my classes. So it's just more of like you can get a purview into the classes that you're about to sign up for, the classes that you're about to take. But I can't tell you that it's going to be a guarantee because these are classes that have been taught, these are classes that have already been completed. So it's not syllabuses that are currently being used like in the class this quarter. It's classes that were taught last quarter. It's classes that taught in the years past. It's classes that were taught 3 years ago.
Do you have a response? Okay, I have a follow-up question. Why will this platform be effective if the majority of professors change their syllabuses?
Like, usually when they change their syllabuses, it's usually to change the class schedule. Generally, professors like that I've taken have used the same materials for the same amount of years. Like when I took Stats 147, which wasn't taught for 2 years, and a professor who taught it 5-6 years before taught that class, he legit used the same. He made his own book and he used the same book for that class. And so a professor that I'm taking this in other classes like calculus, they usually generally use the same book. And so when I say change the syllabuses, they're usually minor changes. They're not usually big changes. But if a professor says, maybe I like this new book and I'll add it to the syllabus, I'm not going to be able to guarantee something like that. This is just for past classes, so you can get a preview of your classes.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So I'm actually kind of curious. I like the idea, but what does the demand look like for past syllabi? I guess I'm trying to ask, what is the rationale behind wanting to have those past syllabi all in one quarter?
What do you mean, how many students have been wanting this?
So, if we're in a new academic year, why would I want a past syllabi for some class?
It's so you can, like I said, when I took Stats 137, when I took up a Stats class 104, the class wasn't taught for about 4 years, to my knowledge, and we walked in blind, and we had no idea what to expect. This is a new professor who actually didn't even know how to teach the class. So, having something simple like that, so looking into classes, and also, there's also a calculus class, which usually generally stays the same, but students who aren't familiar with how the quarter system works, so freshmen, transfer students, they can look at class schedules that are generally on the syllabuses, and they can plan their quarters accordingly, so you don't end up with 3 midterms on the same day. If that kind of answers your question. Does it?
Okay, great. Okay, we're going to move on to Jack, and after Jack, we'll move on to Owen's question. Okay, Jack, my question is about your platform to bring food trucks on campus. Given that food trucks in Davis are only allowed to stay in a single spot for 10 minutes, however, this does not apply to food trucks on campus. Can you talk about what your understanding is on why food trucks are allowed on campus and what are those exceptions?
I can't say that I have a thorough understanding of what the specific bylaws are and regulations are for bringing more food trucks on campus. What I can say is this. I know there are food trucks already on campus. I know something can be done. I know that there is a great demand for them. If there can be one, if there can be two, there can be more. We can bring more food trucks to campus. It's something that's very popular. It's something that has a lot of demand for it. And it's definitely something that, of all my platforms, is extremely, extremely manageable and easy to do.
What's your plan to bring food trucks on campus?
Say again?
What is your plan to bring food trucks on campus?
Reach out to local businesses, interact with them, and invite them to campus. Work with campus administration and student government in order to find a spot for them, and bring them to campus. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Does anyone have a response? Great. Okay, we're going to move on to audience questions. If you have a question, please come up. Yes.
First question is pretty straightforward, but I don't think any of you will have the answer. So do any of you know the names of all the unit directors? If not, do you know the names of each unit that's under ASUCD? If not, do you know how many units are in ASUCD?
I'm kind of cheating because I am a current ASUCD senator, so we have listservs, I have all the email and all the contact, I have all the names, I have extensive experience with all the units. I know every unit, but I don't really want to sit here and list units because that's not the best use of time. But I can speak on behalf of my slate, and I want to say that the base slate, Eamon included, Ricardo, Sam, Shay, everybody,